Have you ever wondered about the bones of a story? What did the outline look like before the characters hijacked it? Ophelia Key always wondered the same things about her own stories. As a discovery writer, the chaotic pantser style, not even the author knew how the tales in the Draoithe Saga would go until they went. Backward analyzing one story while busy writing the next tale or two somehow never happened. Apparently, OK put things off long enough, and some fancy computer magic will provide us with those long-wished-for story overviews. We can finally X-ray the tales from the dream and see their skeletons. Shall we investigate the next story in the dream?
Okay, so let's talk about the wild, dark, and kind of addictive world of paranormal romance. You know, it's a genre that is absolutely massive, but a lot of people don't really get what makes it tick. So we're going to use the novel Druid Ancestry as a roadmap to pull back the curtain and really figure out the formula. So, here's the plan. We're going to start by stepping into the world itself, what they call the dream. And then we'll untangle the dark, twisted affair at the heart of the plot. After that, we'll meet our two main characters, the king and the demon. From there, we'll decode the special language of dark romance. And finally, we'll tackle the big question. Why is this stuff so compelling? All right, first things first, the world. You know, in any good fantasy story, the setting isn't just a backdrop, right? It's basically its own character. And in this story, that character is a place called the Dream. So, right out of the gate, the book tells us this isn't your typical fantasy land. It's more like magical realism. It takes a real place, Tyler, Texas of all things, and smashes it together with this bizarre dreamlike reality where, honestly, the normal rules just don't apply. And you gotta pay attention to the words the author uses here, like calling it a saga. That's not just some random word, it's a promise. It's signaling to the reader, hey, you're not just getting one little love story, you are strapping in for an epic journey with huge stakes, a deep history, and all these interconnected lives. Okay, so we've got the stage set. Now let's look at the actual plot. This is where we can really start to see the gears of the dark romance machine begin to grind. The whole story is built on this collision course between two people with completely opposite problems. On one side, you've got Laszlo. The guy has literally everything. Money, power, you name it, but no real connection. And on the other side, you have Soraya, a young woman with absolutely nothing except a desperate need to escape. This massive imbalance is what fuels the entire story.
And this is so important. The relationship doesn't start with a spark of romance. It starts as a business deal. It's arranged by this super shady character, which right away establishes this really uncomfortable vibe of power, control, and, well, questionable morals. I mean, think about it. Soraya isn't choosing a boyfriend. She's desperately trying to pick the best escape plan.
And that line says it all. This isn't about her finding the one. It's about the sheer, absolute terror of what happens if she fails. That level of desperation is what pushes her to bet her entire life on a complete stranger. So we've got the setup. Now let's meet the main players. And Laszlo and Soraya are just perfect, classic examples of the archetypes that make this whole genre work. The king and the demon. Laszlo is your quintessential king archetype. He's not just a rich CEO, he's got this powerful, ancient royal bloodline, which gives him this extra layer of authority. But here's the crucial part. He's not just looking for love. He is actively searching for a woman who will submit to his, let's call them, twisted inclinations. And then you have Soraya, his perfect match. She is completely defined by how powerless she is. She's an orphan, she's literally described as property, and her whole life has been one long training program on how to serve a powerful man. She gets called a demon, but really her role is to be the perfect object for the king's desires. And this right here, this is the engine of the whole story. It is a dynamic of pure, raw extremes. Absolute power versus absolute vulnerability. It's the hunter and the prey. This crazy imbalance creates all the tension, and it defines not just the plot, but the entire romantic and sexual core of the whole genre. Okay, now that we've got the world, the plot, and the characters down, we can really pull back the curtain and learn to speak the genre's language. You know, the book's own description is basically a cheat sheet. Dark urban fantasy tells you it's gritty and modern, but with magic. Steamy paranormal romance promises you it's all about supernatural beings and, well, explicit scenes. Fated Mates throws in a dash of destiny. But honestly, the most important part is this little code at the end, HEANC. That means happily ever after and no cheating. It's basically a safety net for the reader, promising that no matter how dark it gets, everything's gonna be okay in the end. Wow, yeah, this line, which is straight from Laszlo's internal monologue, is the absolute heart of what makes this a dark romance. I mean, there is zero ambiguity there. He's not looking for a partner. He is craving dominance and force. And that's really what darkness means in this genre. It isn't just a gloomy setting or some violence. The darkness is the central conflict. The story takes these taboo desires and puts them front and center, making the whole push and pull of power and consent the very foundation of the romance. So all of this brings us to the final and maybe the most fascinating question of all. With all this intensity and darkness, why is this formula so incredibly popular? What is the appeal? This line from Soraya's point of view just captures the entire emotional journey perfectly. The character arc is complete. What started as a terrified business transaction has been twisted through obsession and intensity into this powerful, almost addictive kind of love. The fear has actually become a craving. So really, the appeal is this wild cocktail of extremes. You get the thrill of incredibly high stakes and this fantasy of total possessive devotion. It's a way to explore taboo desires in a totally safe space, because remember that happily ever after is always guaranteed. At its core, it's the ultimate fantasy of a dangerous, powerful protector who is completely, intensely, and obsessively devoted to you and only you. And that kind of leaves us with one last thing to chew on. As this genre just continues to explode in popularity, what does our collective fascination with this very specific mix of danger and devotion actually say about modern romantic fantasies? What are we really looking for in these stories?
I sincerely hope you enjoyed this view of a story skeleton, glimpsing the characters, setting, and plot structure along with the twists within the writing in this tale from the Draoithe Saga by Ophelia Key. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more original stories and audio adventures. A special thank you to OK Music Writers for writing and for sharing the Enter the Dream soundtrack. It's more than a story, it's an experience. Welcome to the dream.